Study Buddy Homeschooling. In today's session, we'll be seeing Cbse Class 10, Chapter 6, Life Processes. We all see living organisms around us. How do we identify them? We see them eating, breathing, moving. That's how we identify them as living organisms. Even when they are sleeping, by their breath, we are able to make out that they are living organisms. Even when the organism is sleeping, there are certain processes which keep happening in the body of the organisms. There will be continuous exchange of gases or certain materials between the cells and the tissues. These are the life processes. Now here you can see the two pictures here. One is amoeba, which is a single-celled organism, and you have a cow here. It's a multicellular organism. If you take the case of amoeba here, it is made of a single cell. It's a very small organism, just made of only one single cell. The single cell does all the job of taking in food, digestion, excretion, and everything. How does it do? It does with the help of a plasma membrane and through the contact with the outer environment. Since it's a small organism, it is easily able to manage everything through its surface. If you take an example of a cow, it is not possible here, just like amoeba, because it is made up of millions of cells. So there has to be a different mechanism by which these life processes happen. That's how cells form tissues, tissues form organs and organ systems, and this is how the organism in multicellular organism functions. Life processes which happens in multicellular organisms are much more complex because there is a separate system for digestion, there is a separate system for digestion, there is a separate system for absorption. Since it's a larger organism, and simple diffusion like amoeba wouldn't work with an organism like a cow which is multicellular. In this session, we'll see about one of the processes which is nutrition. What is nutrition? Taking in of the food is known as nutrition. You can see the picture of plants here. Plants are known as autotrophs. Auto means self. Trophs means food preparation. So these plants can prepare their own food. That's how they manage the energy system. How are plants able to prepare the food? They have certain special molecules or pigments called chlorophyll, which absorbs the sunlight and helps in the food preparation. And next we have heterotrophs. What are heterotrophs? These organisms, they cannot prepare their own food. They depend on plants and other organisms for their food. Hence they are known as heterotrophs. All organisms except for plants and few cyanobacteria are all heterotrophs because they cannot prepare their own food. Autotrophic nutrition, that is self-preparation of the food by the plants. The process of preparation of food by the plants is known as photosynthesis. So there are certain ingredients required for the plants to prepare food. They are chlorophyll, carbon dioxide, water and sunlight. These are very important ingredients for the preparation of the food. Chlorophyll molecules are abundantly present in the leaves of the plants. They are present in stems too, but they are very abundantly present in the leaves of the plant. So these chlorophyll molecules which are present only in plants are very important for the preparation of the food. They are the first steps through which food preparation is done. Plants take in carbon dioxide through stomata, which are the pores present in the leaves. Water, they take it from the roots. You can see the picture here. It's a cross section of a leaf where you can see these chlorophyll molecules spread all over. They are abundantly present in the leaves. So these chlorophyll molecules are very important in the preparation of the food because they help in the absorption of the sunlight. This is the overall equation of photosynthesis. What happens is 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 12 molecules of water are required, and in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight they get converted into glucose with the release of 6 molecules of oxygen and 6 molecules of water. This is the overall equation for photosynthesis. What you understand from here is CO2 is required, water is required, chlorophyll molecules in the presence of sunlight is required to prepare glucose. Yes, this is the overall equation of photosynthesis. We discussed that carbon dioxide is very important for the photosynthesis to happen. So how does this carbon dioxide enter? It enters through a pore called stomata. How is this stomata formed? There are two important cells called guard cells. They are kidney shaped or bean shaped cells which are important in the opening and closing of stomata. What happens is when these guard cells take up water, they swell in size, and in the process a small pore is created which is called the stomatal pore, through which carbon dioxide enters in and oxygen is released out. You can see here when the guard cells lose water, they get shrunken, and when the guard cells shrink, the pore is closed. Here you can see that the pore is closed. Here the stomatal pore is open. If you see any aquatic plants, water plants which are completely immersed in water like water lily, lotus, etc., they will have number of stomatal pores which are wide open because they are already in water and they can afford to lose water. Even if there is sunlight, they have to lose water. It's okay if they lose water. So what happens is they keep themselves open always. The stomatal pore in hydrophytes or aquatic plants are very much open. But if you take examples of desert plants, this is how it will look like. In desert plants, the stomatal pores are is closed because they are already in desert where there is less water. So they cannot afford to lose water. So in the daytime, what happens is the guard cells completely shrink and close themselves. Only in the night time they open up because there's no sunlight and there is no water loss which happens due to transportation. So this stomatal pore is very important for exchange of gases, taking in of CO2 and releasing oxygen during photosynthesis. So what exactly is photosynthesis? We discussed the ingredients which are required for the photosynthesis: carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, sunlight. So how does it happen? First step is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll molecules. What happens is that the chlorophyll molecules which are present in the leaf, they absorb the sunlight, they get charged up. They receive abundant of energy from the sunlight, and that light is used to split the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The energy which the chlorophyll molecules picked up from the sunlight is used in the splitting of water molecules into hydrogen ions and oxygen. This splitting of water molecules is known as hydrolysis, photolysis of water. So if two water molecules are split, it gives one molecule of oxygen and few hydrogen ions. These hydrogen ions which are formed during the photolysis of water or splitting of water is used by the carbon dioxide which goes in through stomata, and this is carbon dioxide gets converted into carbohydrates and gets stored in the plant. So overall process of photosynthesis is absorption of sunlight by chlorophyll, and once the chlorophyll is charged with energy, that energy is used in the splitting of water molecules into hydrogen ions and oxygen, and this hydrogen ion is used in the reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. So what happens to the desert plants whose stoma is closed during the daytime? Their stomata is closed in the daytime because excessive sunlight, they cannot afford to lose water. But what happens is in the desert plants, the stomata opens up in the night. In the night time, CO2 enters in, and this CO2 is converted into an intermediate product, and this intermediate product is acted upon by the energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day. So in the desert plants, photolysis of water happens the next day. First, intermediate product is prepared in the night using CO2. This pathway is slightly different which happens in the desert plants, it's called CAM pathway or CAM pathway, which is known as Crassulacean acid metabolism. This happens only in desert plants because their stomata is not open during the day. They are open only during the night. So when the stomata opens during the night, CO2 enters in. Immediately, CO2 is converted into a 4-carbon intermediate, which is acted upon by the energy which the chlorophyll observes the next day. Now we'll see an experiment to show that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. All you have to take is two variegated leaves, not only green leaf, it should be of multiple colors like pink, purple, all these mixed colors. Example, some crotons. You can choose some crotons or money plant with multiple colors. You have to keep them in a dark room for 3 days so that all starch is used up. After that, after on the fourth day, just place them in sunlight for 6 hours. Pluck the leaf from the plant, mark the green areas in it and trace them on a sheet of paper. Since it's a variegated leaf, it's easy for you to find out the greener areas, trace them and keep it separately. Now what happens is dip the leaf in a boiling water for few minutes. Why are we dipping the leaf in the boiling water? To let go of all the chlorophyll molecules. After this, immerse it in a beaker containing alcohol. Carefully place the above beaker in the water bath and heat till the alcohol begins to boil. So again, you will have to put it in a beaker containing alcohol and you have to boil it. So let's see what happens to the color of the leaf. It would have turned colorless because all the chlorophyll pigments would have been lost in the boiling water and boiling in the alcohol. What is the color of the solution? It would have turned light green and multiple colors of the leaf as well. Now dip the leaf in a dilute solution of iodine for few minutes. This is the iodine. Iodine test is a test for the starch. Whenever you place iodine drops on starch, it will turn blue-black. So now we are going to do the same test with the leaf. All you have to do is put few drops of iodine in the leaf. Take out the leaf and rinse off the iodine solution. Observe the color of the leaf and compare this with the tracing of the leaf done in the beginning. What can you conclude about the presence of starch in various areas? So after that you test it out with iodine solution, you will find that it is blue-black wherever you have marked the chlorophyll parts. This shows that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Now we'll see an experiment to show that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. All you have to take is two healthy potted plants which are of the same size. You have to keep them in the dark room for 3 days again to lose the starch. Now place each plant on separate glass plates. What you have to do is you have to, in one of the plants, you have to place potassium hydroxide in a watch glass and keep it on the one side of the plant. What this potassium hydroxide does is it absorbs the carbon dioxide. So you are taking two plants almost of the same size, keeping it in the dark for 3 days so that all the starch is gone. Again you're uh, taking the plants and in one of the plants near to it you are keeping a watch glass filled with potassium hydroxide which absorbs the CO2. The other you don't do anything and you keep both the plants covered with a bell jar and you have to seal with Vaseline so that the bell jar is airtight and no air enters in. Now you have to keep these two plants under the sunlight for 2 hours. So one plant has KOH or potassium hydroxide which is going to absorb CO2. So that plant will not have any CO2 left inside the bell jar. The other plant is normal. There is no KOH. Now what you have to do is after keeping it in sunlight for 2 hours, you have to pluck a leaf and check for the presence of starch using the same iodine solution. What happens? What do you understand from it? Wherever potassium hydroxide, the plant where potassium hydroxide was kept in the watch glass, if you test it would not have turned blue back. This shows that food is not prepared there. Starch was not prepared because CO2 was not at all there. If CO2 was there, it would have photosynthesis would have happened and it would have been converted into starch. Since KOH was placed, KOH would have absorbed CO2, and that plant where KOH was kept, the blue black solution would not have, iodine solution would not have worked, and the leaf would not have turned blue black. But the other plant where there was no KOH kept, and when tested with iodine, the leaf would have turned blue black, showing that CO2 is essential for preparation of the food. For any queries and clarification, please contact us at studybuddyhomeschooling@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. If you have any doubts, please leave your comments in the comment section. We'll get back to you. Thank you.